Hello and welcome to episode 14 of The Whole Story. I'm Daisy Butler-Galley from the Change team and I'm here with our PO, Paul Chandler. How are you doing, Paul?
Pretty good, Daisy. What's the news with the Change team?
So we've been working on some really exciting content around helping those organisations that are switching to permitting at the same time as Street Manager.
Sounds great.
And what's going on in Street Manager Towers then?
Well, as usual, it's all going on. We're currently moving into the design phase for things like entering historic works in Street Manager, so you can then do an inspection, Section 81s, and non-notifiable work. So that's a whole big piece of work that we've got.
Well, that sounds like some interesting content. So today, I think we're going to be looking at fee reporting, right?
Yeah, this has been in Street Manager for a little while now, but we've never done a whole story episode on it, and it's one of the bits of functionality that, not to sound too corny, but I'm most proud of in Street Manager, I think. So let's check it out.
Okay, great.
So I've got a whole option on the desktop there, as you guys saw, fee reporting. I go in, it's one simple screen.
Okay, and how big a date range can I run from? Is it just a week or can I do a whole month?
Because the data load could be really heavy here, we set this up for a maximum of 31 days, but you could do a fortnight if that's your schedule, but the feedback and user research we got was that most people work on a 1 month cycle.
Well, that sounds good. Should we continue?
Literally, just press continue. Download report. I mean, could this be any simpler?
No, this seems pretty easy to me.
Let's have a look at that Excel document. So first things first, Daisy, let's expand our columns. Well, let's just take a second to appreciate this transaction type column, which is pretty important. We really wanted to make sure we got this right, and I think we've nailed it. We've got permit granted, which is self-explanatory. We've got permit alteration granted, which is where we're granting our variations. Again, that's straightforward. We've got PAA progressed to PA. Obviously, as we all know, the PAA only becomes chargeable once that PA arrives. And fourthly, easily forgotten, but we've captured it here, is the need to charge the difference when an extension comes in and a work goes from minor to standard or standard to major.
That looks great. So I can see that there's quite a lot of information here. What sort of things can I see?
Well, there's a couple of other important ones that I wanted to draw to people's attention. If we look at discount percentage there, at the moment you can only change this on this Excel sheet, but in the near future you will be able to update Street Manager if you retrospectively decide that there's a discount. That's a few weeks away from being in, but let's just choose one of these fields, Daisy, and say we decided that that was 100% rather than 0%. We can change that, and when we send the invoice out, we'll get that correct. And the other thing I wanted to show is just those last two columns. Is works traffic sensitive and is street traffic sensitive? Of course, if a job happens in traffic sensitive times, you might want to apply a discount as per your scheme or national guidelines.
That looks great. What about fees?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked, Daisy. Of course, this has come up on the road shows, and we've talked about this a fair bit. This is now the reality of what it looks like in Street Manager. So for minimum viable product, we're going to go in, we're going to add a column called fee or whatever we want to call that, and then for a seasoned streetworks professional who knows their permit scheme and their permit fees, this isn't going to take them too long. You see, Daisy, you're already adding the fees there. We can do all the things that we can do in Excel. I don't know if Google Sheets does this, Daisy, but we can sort these and filter them and do all that stuff. So you can bring up the ones that are standard works, and in a few seconds just add £70 for them, or 68, or whatever you charge, and so on and so forth. That really won't take people too long at all. And of course, what we've done here, just to point out, Daisy, is that we've got all of the stuff for the whole authority for the time period. So if we're just going to send to Cadent Gas, we'll of course need to filter and delete Thames Water's jobs out of there. But again, you know, that's a very easy job to do, and we can add multiple sheets if we like and do some cutting and pasting. And I think it's worth pointing out, Daisy, we've done this for a highway authority today. We could just as easily have gone in as a works promoter and run that fee report as a works promoter, and at a touch of a button we'll be able to see this same picture from their perspective.
Oh wow, that looks great.
Yeah, so we're really getting towards that single source of information, you know, that there won't be any disparities where the one system's showing that something deemed and isn't chargeable and all that kind of stuff. That goes away in this Street Manager world.
Well, that sounds great, and it looks like a really good bit of functionality. Thanks, Paul.
I think it's really good, and I look forward to people using it in anger in the near future and giving us some feedback on it. If it turns out that it's super important to people to have those fees added, that is a piece of work we can do down the line in the future, which is a perfect example of continuous development in Street Manager.
Which is what we're all about, isn't it?
Thanks very much, Daisy.
Great, thanks, Paul.